Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Steve Siebert, the board chair, Harrison District 2. Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll, please.
Oh, it's me. All right. Kelly Pomas. Here. Josh Hitchcock.
Here.
Steve Siebert.
Here.
Linda Pugh.
Here.
Jeannie Orozco. Here. Present. All present and accounted for.
And I feel bad. Julie's sitting like so far over there, all disconnected from.
Hi, Julie.
If you would like to hop up and sit closer, you may. You have your mic there, so you're all set. I just feel bad that you feel set off to the side.
Miss Lotion, Miss Major.
Yes, in the role.
Sorry, I was like,
Oh, is it?
but Miss Major is excused. I'm assuming she's not here. Anyone heard from her?
Is she excused? Do we know?
I haven't heard from.
No. And Miss
Norma,
Loesch?
had you heard from?
Here.
No.
She is way the heck over there.
She said here, real quiet in the microphone. You can come closer. I only bite half the time.
Well, this evening we have Sand Creek Elementary International School, and we have someone to say the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Is that right? All right, guys, come on up. If everyone would stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you guys so much. And do we have a couple of students to say the mission statement for us? Come on up, guys.
Graduate college and career-ready students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors to personally succeed and contribute to the common good.
Good job. Thank you, guys. Well, we have some certificates, and this month is Miss Poma's turn. So if you guys would come back up, we'd like to take some pictures with you guys and give you some certificates.
All right, Kaden. Who's Kaden? Tristan? Adeline?
They're so cute.
Did I say that wrong? Luke? And then Michaela?
See
Did I
them.
say that right? Okay. And then are we taking a picture?
They had a late flight or something. I don't know.
Okay. Can y'all get in a little bit more? We'll come together. God, my heart. This is the cutest thing ever. Thank you. Can we give them
All right, one more round. All right, item 3.1, adopting the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review this evening's agenda?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Do we have any additions, deletions, changes? I think, Ms. Pugh, you have made mention to.
Yes. I'd like to make an amendment to remove OE6 and OE10 from item 10.2 and have that looked at in December. They were not totally completed at this time.
Okay, with those changes, I would entertain a motion to adopt the amended agenda as stated.
Second. Did you already?
So moved.
So moved. I thought he moved.
No, I would entertain a motion to.
He was entertaining.
You're
So moved?
entertaining.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
So entertaining.
Do we have a second?
Oh. Oh my gosh. I second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Orozco, seconded by Mrs. Pomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Now we need to approve the amended agenda.
That was the motion that I had approving the amended agenda as stated,
We should have first moved to amend the agenda and then.
stated it was in the same one.
Yeah.
Item 4.1.
Sorry.
Again, back to Sand Creek International Elementary. We have Principal Rachel Loffer this evening.
Yay.
Good evening, Mrs. Loffer. Thank you for presenting for us this evening.
Good evening, President Siebert, Chief Operating Officers, Dr. Burhansel, and Mr. Rogerson, and members of the board. Sand Creek is very excited to be here to share a little bit about where we've come from and where we are headed. It's kind of an exciting time for our school, especially in light of some meetings we had today in regards to future directions. So just thank you for having us this evening. I'm also delighted to introduce to you, some of you already know our new assistant principal, Mr. Ryder, but he will start off with talking a little bit about our school demographics.
Great, thank you. So as you know, Sand Creek is an international school because we do have our IB certification. And the whole purpose of IB is to represent diverse perspectives, to show our students the many different facets of the world that we live in. And it's very fitting because we ourselves are a very diverse school. As you can see, we are 80% free and reduced lunch. Our ethnic breakdown is up on the board there with our three largest groups being 58% Hispanic, 19% white, 13% black, and also additionally, that kind of leads into our next bullet point with our 27% CLDE identified population. And while primarily most of those students are from Spanish-speaking backgrounds, it's kind of exciting to see the wide number of countries that are moving into the neighborhood. We have families from France, we have families from the Philippines, from Vietnam. So while, like I said, Spanish is the most represented, it's a very wide array of languages that are represented. And then additionally, we have 13% special education. 43% of those students are just in the general education population and moderate needs. But we do have two center programs. We have TAP, which is the autism program, and we actually have two classroom teachers there. And then they're connected to our SSN program on the classroom over from them. And so they represent 18 additional students, which brings us to a total of 61 across the school. And in terms of gifted students, you can see that we have 2% of our population is gifted, with a large cluster in third grade, 9 of them there, and then 1 in fifth grade. And with the district's shift to identifying gifted students in second grade, we anticipate that those numbers will expand in future years as we start to do that every year in second grade.
All right, so last time we presented to you, we were not an IB school. So just to share a little bit about what has changed since then, we have written an entirely new curriculum. It's 36 instructional units. Most of them last about 6 weeks, so 6 per grade level. We call them planners. And so teachers worked diligently to create those. And then we also basically take on the role of a curriculum department in revising them each year too. So that's ongoing work as well. We have added Spanish to our curriculum that is required by IB that you have a foreign language represented. So we have a fabulous new Spanish teacher this year. She actually taught in an IB school in India for the last 2 years, so she brings a whole new perspective to our program. And there's 2 kind of main components of IB that kind of change what our classrooms look like every day. Everything is taught in a transdisciplinary environment, meaning you don't teach math, writing, reading, social studies, and science separately. You're meant to be maybe a little confused when you enter a classroom and say, was the teacher teaching reading or writing or social studies or science, or a little bit of both? So it's meant to help students make connections between all those content areas and transfer their learning and skills to new environments. And then the other one is inquiry, meaning there is a time and place for very direct instruction from a teacher, but that's not the primary delivery method. It's meant to be more guided by students' questions and really allow students to take that ownership over the learning process. We have a learner profile, which is consistent in every IB school. You're going to get to hear a little bit more from our kindergartners about one of those attributes being caring. And then our fifth graders do a large culminating project called Exhibition. You only do that once you're a certified IB school, so last year was our first year. It's quite the learning experience and challenge, so we're excited to do it for the second time, having learned some lessons from last year. And then I would say the biggest change I notice when I go into classrooms is just the vocabulary that students know and can use. And so you're also going to hear from our kindergartners in regards to something they're studying with force and motion. So we purposely chose students. We feel like part of what makes Sand Creek is it feels like a family. So all of the students that presented tonight are staff members' kids, either district staff members. You might recognize one by the name of Tristan that looks very much like his father, or our teachers' own kids. We pride ourselves on the fact that more and more of our own staff are enrolling their students in our building. I think that speaks to the environment that's been created at Sand Creek. So kindergartners, come on back up. They have 2 special songs for you.
Cheese hurt. I know.
I am caring, I am caring, I am kind, I am kind. I'm a bucket filler, I'm a bucket filler. See me shine, see me shine. Motion happens every day when we work, when we play. Push and pull our forces used to make an object move. Motion happens every day when we work, when we play. Energy is what we use to make an object move.
And then to kind of summarize our data in a much more holistic way, there's a few things we've really been proud of over the last couple years. For the 6th year last year, we were awarded Healthy School Champion by the state. There is money that comes along with that, so that's extra motivating. But we've had a pretty strong health and wellness team for this going on my 7th year there, who really embraces for students, but also for staff, just the fact that you have to be healthy yourself to do your best when you're learning. So a little bit more of that whole child approach and recognizing that staff need some balance in their lives to be able to come and work as hard as they do each and every day. And then we have also been awarded for the 2nd year last year, the Centers of Excellence Award, which speaks to our longitudinal academic growth for students. And then the district nominated us, I think a year and a half ago now, for the Innovative Schools study, a part of 25 schools or districts that were selected across the nation for innovative practices. And the case study was just published in July. They really tell the story for you. So they just come in and spend a couple days at the building, do focus groups, interviews, and they say, we basically put together your 5-year story from an outsider's perspective. So I thought the title was interesting. It says, Walking the Walk, How a School Embodies Lifelong Learning in the Quest to Provide All Students Greater Opportunity and Advantages. So I thought that really does capture what we've been trying to do for the students at Sand Creek. A couple other things we're really proud of. Over the last 2 years, we have tripled our number of distinguished staff members. So we now have 2 exemplary 1 teachers. One of them is going to speak with you in just a minute. 2 proficient 3 staff members, and now 14 proficient 2 staff members, including one of our SPED itinerants who falls into now that proficient 3 category. So we're just very proud of our staff and the accomplishments that they have made. And then if you've been around the building at all lately, you'll notice some changes, especially outside the building. We built a new track, an outdoor classroom, in partnership with some Boy Scouts that were doing their Eagle Scout project. They built a whole section around our garden with picnic tables and some new benches around the track, and they also donated all the equipment for the outdoor classroom. So then 2 other things we want to highlight is our partnership that we started with UCCS last year, and then a mentoring program. So we have Caitlin Bartleson, one of our new kindergarten teachers. It's her first year, who's also related to Mr. Rogerson over there, and Mrs. Mitchell, who has been in the district, I think, 11 years.
So our partnership with UCCS was such an incredible experience. Even though I've been a first grade teacher in Harrison for 11 years, this was a huge growth step for me to have a student teacher in my classroom. The fortunate part about it was that I gained a teacher that really bought into what we do here in Harrison, loved our children and wanted to be part of it. So having a full year of her being able to see what our expectations are here in Harrison and understand why we do what we do, and really build a community at our school, the transition into her kindergarten year, she's just been such an incredible added addition to our team. So our partnership has just been really helpful to be able to build our staff as well.
Thank you. My experience at Sand Creek as student teacher was super impactful. When I discussed with other student teachers in my classes, I felt like I got a really good hand dealt to me being at Sand Creek. I was able to work with CLDE teachers, SPED teachers, and in the general education classroom. My degree is in inclusive elementary, and Sand Creek was able to accommodate to me to get all of my hours in all those different sections. And my experience with Lindsay really allowed me to see the greatness of Harrison and what our students can accomplish. And it just really made me fall in love with the district. And I wanted so badly to work in Harrison, but really at Sand Creek. And making relationships with the staff all last year really allowed me to transition into my first year of teaching kindergarten really smoothly. And I understood how the school ran and everybody in their place, and I just am very excited to be a part of it this year. So.
You want to speak about mentoring? And then we also have implemented a mentoring program. We're in year 2. Lindsay has really been instrumental in bringing that to our school from her prior experience, so she's going to speak a little bit about that.
All right, so a prior principal for me introduced me to a story about a student named Billy Hawkins. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was labeled with a learning disability early on in life, and his strengths just never were recognized and until he got to high school. And a principal pulled him aside and really got to know him and empowered him in his strengths and his leadership abilities, and realized that he's academically brilliant. And that student actually went on to become a doctor and hired his principal to work for him at a university. So it's just an incredible story to find out how what students can do with that empowerment. So at my prior school at Guyberson, we actually chose our Billy Hawkins student for that year, a student that we felt like had some unnoticed strengths, and we worked to empower them and to care for them. So here at Sand Creek, we recognize that our 5th grade students need and deserve that same empowerment. So every staff member in our building, from custodial staff to the kitchen staff to the front office, our student teachers. We all have mentees in the building that are fifth graders. Some of us have chosen them because we have those prior existing relationships, and some are just assigned to us. But we spend time in the mornings, time during our plan time, lunch dates with them, just to set some academic and social goals, and just be someone that's a person of trust for them to go to. And it's just been really incredible experience getting to know these fifth graders, and days that they have hard days, they know who they can reach out to in the building.
All right, so now we want to close with kind of where we go from here, knowing that we feel like we've accomplished a lot over the past few years in becoming an IB school, but now we have a brand new challenge in front of us, so we're ready to dive into this.
So as you know, Sand Creek is going to be one of the first projects that the district is moving forward with the passing of 4E, which we were crossing our fingers so hard they almost fell off because we really, really wanted the opportunity to open a middle school at Sand Creek. So we were elated the morning after when we realized this is actually going to happen. And even before it passed, Rachel and I had spent a lot of time in coffee shops, in our offices, brainstorming and coming up with those initial steps that we'll need to kind of have set before next year. And I think today when we had a meeting with the architect, I heard the best analogy for it yet when he said that, I was thinking this was like a NASCAR or Indy 500 race, but it's really more like a drag race because we've got a lot to do before next fall. And so we're just really using every second we can to plan, coming up with a phased staffing plan to kind of build out the staff slowly, since we'll be adding 6th grade next year, 7th grade the year after that, 8th grade the year after that. So we have to be really deliberate about how we add specials teachers and CLDE teachers and all of those things that come along with a brand new school in our building. And so they just finished the process of becoming an IB school before I came on, and now we get to do it again because we will, of course, be opening as a candidate school for MYP, which is the middle school program for the IB program. So we have 8 of our staff members, including the 2 of us, who are headed to a training in January to kind of start the IB certification process again. And we'll be submitting our application by April 1st for that side of things. So we're doing all sorts of stuff, planning the concrete steps of what is this building going to look like, and then also the more up in the air kind of stuff of what is our curriculum going to look like. So it's been really exciting, and we're just really thankful that the voters have trusted the district to move forward with this because we're very passionate about it, and we just look forward to that new adventure.
And luckily, even though we're obviously an elementary staff, we do have 14 staff members who have worked at the secondary level. Charlie taught at middle school level. I taught 6th grade in the district years ago. So luckily, we can pull on some of our staff experience and our own experience as we start this journey. So that's all we have for you, unless you have questions for us.
Well, I am so excited to see this come to fruition. It's been such a long-term vision. My personal belief in the model is very, very high, and so I am waiting with bated breath for the next 3 years as we expand those. So, yes, that was a thrilling victory to be able to expand. So, very good. Anybody have specific questions for?
No.
No?
I don't.
Wonderful work. The staff, contact with the students every day. That's the single most crucial part of every day in their lives. So to see the tenure of your staff, that's very encouraging. Just a lot of very good stuff. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
Kudos for all that hard work you've done. You rewrote all that curriculum, thinking, oh my gosh. So thank you for all that.
I've had to take some deep breaths knowing we're starting that all over again, but we're ready for it and we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 5, communicating with the board. We have item 5.1, the Sierra Food Pantry. Do we have PJ Gage from Sierra High School? Yes, welcome. Good evening, how are you tonight? Well, it's not snowing, so that's always a good way to start a late November meeting.
Oh boy, I have to be center and front. Oh, my.
Uh-oh. On the spot.
On the spot. So, anyway, good evening again. And yes, it's not snowing, so I'm very, very happy with that. As you know, I'm PJ Gage from Sierra High School. And just to give you,
You need to use the mic, please.
oh, I'm sorry.
There you
That's
go.
okay. Thank
We
you.
can hear you, but it's being
Okay,
recorded, so
yeah.
for the
okay.
minutes.
So as you know, I'm PJ Gage with Sierra High School. And just to give a little bit of background about our food pantry, we started about 2 years ago when it was very, very obvious that we have a population that does not eat as regularly as they should. And so through my various connections, we started a pantry through Care and Share and another program with Loaf and Jug. So our students have access to about 1,700 pounds of food a week. I go and do the pickups for the food, and we set up our pantry. Our pantry is not just for the students, but for staff as well as the community members. We've also paired up with 4 different churches that are in our immediate proximity, and so we share lots of different products, because there's times when I got 300 pounds, that's good English, when I have 300 pounds of milk, and what I really need are the sandwiches. And so we do a trade-off, and we have a wonderful working relationship. We also have Mr. Hooks, who is part of our security team, who every holiday season we start doing baskets for our families that are in need. And so between all of our resources we pull together, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Craddock, we're at 35 turkeys that both staff and community members bring in. I did the freezer Monday with 36 4-pound turkeys for staff that are single parents, don't have a need for a great big turkey, but have the little turkey, as well as our families and our students and our homeless students. We do spend a lot of time with our homeless students to reach out and make sure that they're safe and they have all the things that they need to stay warm, and because kids are kids. And that's it.
That's it. Well, thank you so much. Food is in this day and age, it seems like such a basic given, and there are still so many that have so much need.
Yes.
Sometimes, and this is the time of year that it comes to light, but all year long there is such a need. So I applaud you so
Yes.
much for taking on
Yes.
that objective. As a board and as a district, I actually didn't know that Sierra had a food pantry, so
Yes.
it's news to me. Supporting the schools, is there any need or anything that the board could provide, either in terms of information or connections, or are you just moving along right at a perfect clip?
You know, we are moving along at a good point, but recognition and passing on information is always helpful. We don't just serve our building. We do share with other schools in the district. I believe Carmel is wanting to start something as well, and so I'll be working with them, trying to get that going, and other schools we have shared, because kids are kids. And one of the things that we have noticed really, and what was our driving point, was there is a direct correlation between behavior and not eating. And once we could fill that plug, I won't say all behavior, but numbers dropped. numbers dropped. And as long as they know that there's a constant, which I do. I have kids come into the class, you know, Miss PJ, you got food, Miss PJ this, Miss PJ. I'm like, okay. But, you know, it's something now that they can depend on and they know is there.
Yeah, it's tough to learn if you're cold, if you're hungry, if you don't know where you're going to sleep that night. It's
Right.
really tough to focus on
Right,
education. So,
right. And I just thank,
great.
you know, our district that we're able to do that, and our staff at the school. We do have a community board of 10 people. Not board, committee. There we go. Of 10 people that are both staff and community members. So whenever there's something that's a great need, like today I ran out and got shoes for a student because they didn't have any. Those are the things that we need to do to keep our kids focused so they can do those things.
fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here tonight.
Sure,
and,
not a
and
problem.
May I ask
letting
one
us know.
question?
Oh, absolutely. I would open it up to the.
1,700 pounds, awesome, a week. How many people typically circulate through on average?
We have the food pantry open every Friday after school.
Okay.
But because so many activities are going on and kids got to catch the bus and lots of different things, they catch me during the week. So what we've been doing pretty averagely is about 70 families. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Anybody else have questions for?
No.
We
Thank
love
you
our
so
food.
much.
Yes, yes. Huge thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you.
If there's members of the public that would care to address the board on any topic relating to board work, there's a roster that could be signed up in the back of the room, and we have an opportunity for you to address the board this evening. Item 5.2, we have another area that is very near and dear to my heart. Yesenia Torres and I sort of spearheaded this years ago, and every time that we meet, there's always a jewel that I'm always blown away that's brought by one of the students. So this evening, we have our soon-to-be newest student board representative, a junior from, and this may be redundant since I missed the last meeting, but Miss Julie Loesch, junior at Harrison High School, offset, Miss Major, a senior at Sierra. The board had interviewed and came down to criteria that was chosen, and so this evening I would entertain a motion to seat our newest official member.
I recommend seating the student board representative, Julie Loesch, who was selected to fill the junior vacancy.
I second.
Been moved by Mrs. Pugh, seconded by Mr. Hitchcock. All in favor of seating Ms. Loesch, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We have success. So now,
They're so funny.
Hope you wrote a speech.
she really didn't want to do this, but. The position to which you have been appointed is one of dignity and importance. In accepting this role, you undertake a responsibility which is not to be assumed lightly or carelessly discharged. You are charged with the duties of seriously and resolutely furthering the mission and objectives of the Harrison High School District 2 Board of Education, policies and expectations. During your 2-year term, if you'll repeat after me, I, Julie Loesch,
I, Julie Loesch,
do affirm that I will support the policies and expectations
do affirm that I will support the policy and expectations.
during my term. I will faithfully and impartially discharge
During my term, I will
faithful
faithfully and impartially discharge
the responsibilities of the position of student board representative to the best of my ability.
the responsibilities of the position of student board representative to the best of my ability.
That's it. Congratulations. And now, item 5.3, we have reports from our student board representatives. Ms. Loesch, what do you have for us this evening?
So, as for events in Harrison right now, we will have a tournament in basketball on November 28th in Denver, and it's going to be 5 games during the whole day. On November 30th, there will be a lock-in at Harrison, so that's going to be fun, and it's an opportunity for students to bond with each other. And this past weekend, there was a play, and I was selling tickets, so... But we made a lot of money, and that helped raise money for the drama department. So something I've been working on is creating reports. So there's 2 different reports I've been working on, and one of them is for ELA. So I've been reaching out to English teachers and students that are taking English classes as well. And I've been keeping track of what skills they've been working on, especially for juniors and seniors that are focusing on the SAT. I'm still collecting data on that. So my other report is about personal development and success for students. And I talked to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors about 3 different topics. The first one is critical and creative thinking, and I asked different questions, and one of them was asking about what skills students needed to work on for critical and creative thinking, and what they think staff can do to help with that. The second category was positive relationships, and I asked about the relationships with their admin, teachers, and other peers. And students, most of them felt like one of the things that they were lacking in the relationship was trust, communication, and respect, because they say that staff demand respect, but they don't give it back to students. So that's an area that needs to be worked or needs to be fixed. And the last category was psychological development, because it's important to be happy and be motivated in order to be successful in school. So I asked them to explain the significance of being mentally healthy. And one of the problems that I've been noticing is students are dealing with personal problems at home, and they've been dealing with depression and problems with maintaining positive self-worth, and that hinders their ability to be successful in school. So a solution to that could be to find someone you can trust to talk to, and to always reach out to someone. So that's what I have on my report.
Well, thank you very much. Does anybody have any specific questions for Ms. Loesch tonight? It'll be very interesting to see as it progresses. You know, we can talk about specifics and individual students, but to implement a process or program that catches those maybe sometimes missed signs from, I know a lot of times that kids, students may not feel comfortable reaching out to an adult, but they may if they know that they have another student that they could confide in, that there would be some true help there. So very good insight. We'll continue to follow that and see what we can work on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, matters reserved for board action. We have item 6.1, our fiscal year June 30th, 2018, our comprehensive annual report. This evening we have our CFO, Ms. Shelley Becker. Good evening, Ms. Becker.
I can turn it all over to you if you want.
Oh, no, you are the guest here. So I have hard copies of the CAFR if you would like that while you're sitting there, because I know you received it electronically, so let me know. Happy to give you. Would anybody? Okay. And also a management letter that came today from Tom.
And he already handed us this.
How are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so why that's coming out around, good evening, Board of Education. We're excited, thank you, Steve, for the introduction, to be here tonight with our auditing firm, Holtling and Company, Tom Sester, who's here to present the fiscal year 2017-2018 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, also known as CAFR. So we're excited. This has been a year-long culmination of work. Excited about the financial position and where the district is at. We've had some great improvements and strides in our work with this during the year, and Tom's probably going to mention and talk to some of that. High level overall, just I know we all want to get to that bottom line type of so what happened? Tell us the nuggets. So overall, another year of a clean, or what's called an unmodified opinion. And last year we had 5 audit findings. This year, for fiscal year 17-18, we have 0. So we're really excited for some of the work that's gone on in the finance department behind the scenes. And please, if you have any questions, because I know some of this can get a bit technical, especially as Tom starts talking, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you, Shelley. And I also passed out a little 2-page handout. You should have appeared on your desk as you walked in this evening. Anyway, thank you for having me tonight to talk about the audit. We were on site for about 3 days this summer in June, reviewing and testing internal controls. Then we designed our audit plan based on the results of those tests and performed our field work in late August this year. Overall financial condition of the district is strong, and the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. So as a result of our audit, as Shelley said, we issued an unmodified or clean opinion. And that has been the case since we've been doing the audit, a clean opinion as in past years. Want to talk a little bit, as I do each year, about government-wide and fund financial statements. You have 2 presentations in your financial statements. The fund statements reflect how the district keeps its books on a day-to-day basis. It's a basis upon which you receive your budgets and get your monthly reports. The government-wide statements appear on the really the first 2 pages of the financial statements. Maybe it's like 15 and 16 or 14 and 15, but the first part of the statements, and they combine all the funds except for the fiduciary funds into a single presentation on the accrual basis. So those government-wide statements bring in capital assets that are not reported in the funds, as well as debt and other long-term liabilities. And it's an important distinction as we slide down to talk about the statement of net position. Statement of net position is one of those government-wide statements. Essentially, it is the balance sheet, if you will, for the entire district and all those activities. So I'll highlight a few things here. Cash and cash equivalents and investments down about 1.8% compared to the prior year. Other assets are up 28.5%. Compared to last year. That's made up of receivables being up about 1.1 million, and inventory and prepaids being up about 127,000 compared to prior years. The big one is liabilities. That's a big number on your statement of net position. Liabilities were up 23 million compared to last year. 17 million of that is related to the net pension liability, and that is your relative portion of PARA's unfunded liability that, as of 4 years ago, you now have to record as part of your financial statements. And then this year, you also adopted GASB 75, a new statement where you're recording OPEB liabilities, and that's your other payroll and pension plan or non-pension plans. And in this case, you have an $8.7 million liability for that. And that, specific to you, that is the portion of PARA that you pay for the healthcare trust fund. And then looking down at net position, Three categories there. The net investment in capital assets increased $1.7 million as debt service payments exceeded net changes in capital assets. And then restricted net position, really that's made up of amounts reserved for Tabor and debt service requirements increasing this year. Looking at the general fund, so now we're obviously getting into a fund financial statement and a little more relevant to your day-to-day operations. And we look at the ratio of unassigned balance to operating reserves to expenditures. And you're sitting at about 78 days covered by those two elements there. So really a strong position for your net position. Down a little bit from the prior year, but still a very healthy position to be in. And we're only taking a component of the net fund balance there. Looking at long-term debt, this year you added $14 million in refunding bonds. So that paid off some of your debt, so it's not a complete $14 million increase. It replaced a number of things. Otherwise, debt was paid according to the debt service schedules. And then sticking with the fund presentation, looking at the changes in fund balances. So this schedule here mimics a schedule that appears in the back of your financial statements. It's part of the pipeline process that is submitted to the Department of Education. So I'll highlight some things here. General fund revenue was up $748,000 this year. That's made up of local revenues being down about $167,000, made up of taxes and tuition mostly. State revenues were up about $1 million, and federal revenues were down about $86,000. Expenditures were up $4.5 million compared to last year. That resulted in a net decrease in fund balance of about $2.2 million. And that's in the general fund, which is comprised of the general fund and its two sub-funds, Fund 18 and Fund 19 as well. Food service fund balance up $821,000. Revenue was up compared to last year, $53,000, and expenditures were down about $136,000. So that's showing an increase the last couple of years with those differences there. So food service is a strong position as well. Capital projects, I'm looking at two funds there, the Capital Project Fund and the Land Acquisition Fund. Capital Projects funds, fund balance up $304,000. There were decreased transfers into finance building projects, and you closed out the building fund as well. And finally, the health fund. Fund balance was down $1.3 million. Premiums were up $215,000, while claims plan expenditures were up $909,000. Big decrease in that fund. That fund tends to fluctuate quite a bit depending on if you have a big claim year. I've seen it with other districts. You just have one person has their, has a liver replaced as one I remember, and that was pricey when you're funding it yourself. Even with the stop loss, it's not a little bit of money there. Looking at internal controls. The provided a board letter today, which you may not have had a chance to read, but it describes the general auditing procedures and any findings, if any. We noted a couple things in there that didn't rise to the level of being reported in the financial statements. Looking at agency fund activities, some things with one of the payroll contracts and Social Security. And you can take a look at that and follow up with Shelley if you have further questions there. And then, let's see, the federal award section of the financial statements. Again, all prior year findings were cleared this year, and we had no additional either internal control or compliance findings. So that went very, very well this year. And really appreciate the work that Shelley and her staff did picking up and clearing those this year. Federal awards, we looked at three main programs as part of our testing this year. looked at Title I, Title IIA, and SPED. And again, no findings, clean, unmodified opinion unmodified opinion on those. And that's the extent of my presentation tonight. Really great appreciation to Shelley and her staff. Last year was a challenge as they dealt with a number of positions transitioning in, transitioning out, and it was amazing we got it done last year. But this year, sorry. But this year, really, they brought in some superstars and went very smoothly. I appreciate everything.
Well, very good. There's one thing that we would really hope to have from our auditor, and that would be complete honesty. And so the little jab at the last year, I don't take that as a negative, Shelley. That's a little bit. So it's all right. And but I appreciate that. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into the budget, into the financial report, the CAFR. It's and this time of year is intense. So I appreciate that. Having been the treasurer for years and having set in on quite a bit of that, I truly can understand that crunch. So I appreciate all of that work. Does anybody have further questions?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for all the work. Every time I've come in, it's just been transparency. A lot of the numbers that we're seeing here are actually what we saw at the end of last year, so nothing really different. So greatly appreciated, and thank you so much.
Yeah, having the findings, there were a few things that I had made notes on that kind of kept my eye on over time. We had a few discussions ourselves about some of those, and so having that an unmodified opinion with those few little findings. Will we have a copy of the letter of the minor findings? Is that forwarded to us? I didn't see it on our attachment.
Yes.
Just clean
Okay, all right. So she just passed it out. I just sent to her that I said that we sent it at the 11th hour today.
We'll dig through and digest that later. I won't take time to read that in front of all of you now. So, well, no further questions. Anybody else have comments or questions? No. Thank you very much again. Good to see you. Hopefully, again next year. I think we're on is this year 2 of our 5-year contract, or are we in year 3 of our 5?
At one point, you asked us if we would extend that, and of course.
There was a change in board policy, and with the change in policy, we had that affected that contract. So, very good.
We can put numbers to it at some point so you know what's happening.
All right, very good. Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it so much. Thank you, Shelley. Every time I cannot have that presentation and not have the imprint of Joyce in my mind, and as her eyes glaze over and she just focuses out and she says, I just need you to tell me where we're at. I just had to throw that in for those of you who have been around a while. I look at everyone now and don't see that. Don't see that. Which brings us to item 6.2. Not even sure how to jump into this.
Andy.
I have a letter. I'll just read the letter. Mr. Steve Siebert, President, HSD2 Board of Education. Dear President Siebert and Board Directors, it is with regret that I am writing to inform you of my decision to resign my position as Director Treasurer of the Board of Education of Harrison School District 2, effective November 16, 2018. My career has recently taken a turn with a promotion opportunity requiring relocation in support of the federal government and the military training community. This new opportunity will require my family and I to relocate to the state of Missouri effective 7 January 2019. It has been my honor to be a part of Harrison School District 2. I am so proud of all we have accomplished in my short tenure as board director, and am grateful for the opportunity to have represented our community. As this board moves forward, I have no doubt that the right people sit here representing the best our community has to offer, which of course includes our district leadership, COOs, team. I am grateful to have been a part of the bond initiative advocacy, our monumental task, and am excited to see how Harrison has grown with updating facilities, adequate technology, and culture that nurtures more growth. What a historic moment for HSD2. I will continue to watch from afar and cheer Harrison on. Thank you for all your support over the past year, from declaring a candidacy to running an election to not getting elected, but getting here somehow. I hope that my efforts have helped to shape the future of Harrison, and I wish you all the best. Best wishes, Joshua D. Hitchcock. So before we jump into anything further, just so I get this out, as a board, we have to, by statute, have a resolution. So I would, at this time, entertain that resolution. Nobody's gonna do it.
Can't go.
Yeah.
So you just need a motion to accept
So
the
we need
resignation?
a motion to accept the resignation.
So moved.
Nobody's going to second it because it's just not going to get
Second.
taken. It's been moved and seconded. This is one of the hardest votes I've ever had to take. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
The nays have, no, I'm sorry. Motion carries.
It's sad.
Okay, well, let's jump to a happy part. Josh has been a tremendous influence on the board, a crucial part of much of what's happened over the past year. We've had tremendous transition, really for the better. We're in a good place, in large part to his participation. So, I would like to recognize Josh with.
There's a card somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. I stuck it in there.
And you can open it. It's not gonna.
Something else for you to pack up.
More stuff to move.
Do we get to say comments?
Did you take the Jack in the Box out?
It's an apple. It's an apple.
Would anyone like to inject an antidote, an anecdote, or story? Josh, a little. I appreciate. We're all better for having had Josh here.
You know, Josh has championed the concerns around technology because of his expertise, but beyond that, I think he's observed lots of things, and he's not hesitant to question them, which is what we should all be up here doing. If we see something that doesn't make sense to us, you need to convince us why it makes sense. And Josh definitely does all those things. We couldn't have asked for a better blending right now, and it's kind of hard to let part of it go, but we know it's a better opportunity for him and his family.
Sure. Do you want to say anything? No, Jeannie's going to cry, so she doesn't want to say anything. I probably know you the least in my very short time, but coincidentally, Josh and I figured out, or Mr. Hitchcock, sorry, and I figured out that when he started campaigning, I was one of the first letters as a community member that he wrote the letter to in terms of advocacy. And when Josh was seated in the initial appointment, I was over the moon. I think, Josh, you are an extraordinary leader for our community. You push me constantly in terms of asking questions and digging into a lot. It was nice to have somebody to piggyback off of in terms of fun and humor, and definitely going to miss you a lot in your advocacy. Proud of you.
Even though you got pushed in the pool.
Really?
We're not talking.
See, I couldn't. There's been.
Jeannie was there.
Yes, it was Jeannie.
Inside joke, sorry.
No. I would just say it's really nice to be able to disagree with someone to move forward. And we do that a lot. And I know we really enjoy each other up here. We disagree a lot. And I go, I don't think so. I don't agree with that. But go ahead and finish. And Josh will finish, and I'll go, okay, now I'll tell you why I don't agree. And it's really nice because as adults, we find that rare even in our workplaces where people agree to disagree and respect each other of their opinions and are willing to really openly listen to those opinions. And we've done that a lot on this board. And I can't say we've been okay with not being right. We've been okay with compromise. But all of us have been here to move the district and our youth forward. And Josh has done a great job of that. And I know he was the first to say, I'm really sad that I was the loser. But we were really excited to have him. He's really shed some light on things that we definitely wouldn't have brought. And so this team has been extraordinary. But nonetheless, it's a really great opportunity for his family. And so we're excited.
And part of that working together in that team, and Jeannie is right, there are many, we probably disagree more often than we agree, but in the end, we agree to agree. And it all boils down to the commitment of these 5 people to the support of student success. That truly is at the heart of every discussion, is the support of student success. And that's our litmus test at the end of the day. So, very good group. He will tremendously. It would be tremendously missed, not replaced. We'll move forward, and with that, that is the declaration of our board vacancy. On GC1, the Board of Education of Harrison School District 2 represents, leads, and serves the district owners according to Colorado Constitution. Section 4, and holds itself accountable. 9, I'm sorry. And holds itself accountable to them by committing to act in the best interest and by ensuring that all board and direct district action is consistent with the law and the board policies according to the Colorado Revised Statute. So that statute will have been fulfilled by our resolution this evening. So I won't belabor that. Anybody, any final comments? Nope.
No, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm really crunchy on the outside, but not so much on the inside. I guess the one good thing about the military is I'll probably be back in 2 years, so y'all better hold up to your promises and get this stuff done, because I love this community, and if we do come back, this is where we're coming back to. So we'll be watching you from afar, and if there's anything you need, you know how to find me.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Moving on, item 7.1, comments from the public. We have no one signed up on the roster this evening for public comment. We'll move to item 8.1, our annual work plan. Has everyone had a chance to review the annual work plan?
Yes.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? We have a new format, so it actually, every time I open it, it takes me a second to work through. I have nothing to add on this evening's.
I think we had, yeah, of course I do. We had said we were going to move OE 13 to the December meeting, but it doesn't look like it got changed on the work plan. And since we removed OE 6 and 10 indicators, those are all 3 indicator reports, that would need to reflect as being moved to December also, at least for this year. We may.
For temporarily, yes. If we do that, if we make the change so that next year we don't assume that they're on that time schedule, let's do a temporary shift, if that could be noted. Thank you.
Okay over there?
My mind is not completely with it at the moment. I was trying to think if there was something that needed to be highlighted or added.
CASB's coming up in November.
CASB is coming up in November.
December.
Oh, December 6 through 9. I see it there. Anything else of note? December we have is a combined meeting. It'll be a work session with the combined meeting, so we'll take action at that, which is out of the norm. But with the school calendar, having 2 meetings is just not productive in December.
I would just mention for Ms. Loesch's sake that she'd have the opportunity to attend the CASB convention as well, correct?
We'll have to give her more information.
Yes. If you were, I didn't know if you were eliciting a response from.
I just want, that was my memory. I just
Typically,
wanted to
we
make
have
sure that was correct.
we have always extended that. So thank you for reminding me to. If that had not come up, hopefully Ms. Major might have mentioned that to you in Pat. No, okay. That'll need to be an email.
It's going to be the 6th through the 9th, and I think the 9th is probably a Sunday. So there's a Friday, Saturday, particularly are the bigger times. So just an awareness, and we'll coordinate with you.
I know Mr. Longmire often coordinates with some students at CASB. I don't know if there are plans.
Got lots of.
Lots of okay. Well, there may be something that we may be able to work out in conjunction with that, or something. So we'll get that going.
Maybe we should say what CASB is for reference
Yes,
to
we get
Ms.
wrapped up in acronyms all of the time. So yes, that would be for any of those. Show of hands in the room who knows what CASB stands for. A few, okay. The Colorado Association of School Boards. So it's our state collective association of school boards that are elected from seated board members through across the state. They lobby the Capitol Hill, bring a lot of information to boards, give us updates on state legislation. And so this is the annual conference of the Association of School Boards.
And it's here in town at the Broadmoor, so it's very easy for us as board members and student reps to get there.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, no travel, not really.
Okay, anything else on the annual work plan? Nope. We have item 8.2, legislative updates. That, I guess,
I don't get to clap.
is a biggie. For us this year, I would suspect everyone was glued to the TV. We actually had a work session and recess to check election results because it was quite pertinent. Huge, a decades plural task for the district. The work truly starts now. So I would open up the floor to anybody who would want to jump in on. No?
I just want to clap. Can we clap?
We can clap, yes. 4E passed. It really is tremendous. It's almost still surreal to me at this point to say $185 million is surreal.
If my source is correct, it was the 3rd largest in the state, and the only tax increase in our area that passed. Mm-hmm. Some others maintained a tax, kept it from going back to what it had been, but we're the only one that had an increase, and a significant one. Knocking on some doors, I had some people say, well, it's about time. Mm-hmm. It's like, thank you.
With that, I've said this before, and there's obviously a new cross-section of people in the room. I cannot say thank you enough to all of the effort from all the walks, all the support, the personal involvement from everyone in the room who participated in that. There was a tremendous amount of financial support from local nonprofits. It really, really was a huge undertaking. There was a tremendous amount of effort put forward. I would like to, as board president, and personally as Steve Siebert, I would like to thank everyone who voted for it, and second of all, who participated in any way. So, yes, a round of, please. all those early morning walks. We know who was all there. So a tremendous effort, a tremendous victory for the students of Harrison District 2. It will directly affect them in ways that will carry on for decades. Literally, the improvements that will be made will be seen for many, 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 many years to come. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Item 9, 9.1, Superintendent Consent Agenda. We have the November 2018 Personnel Report. Are there any further questions or discussion surrounding the personnel report that needs to be brought up?
No.
Outside of the work session, no. We have item 9.2, the September financial statement. Is there any further discussion surrounding that item?
No.
No? With that, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the superintendent consent agenda items as stated.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Poma, seconded by Mrs. Pugh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, the board consent agenda. We have item 10.1, approval of minutes from October 2nd, 2018, and the board meeting of 10/25/18. Are there any corrections or additions, deletions to the minutes?
No.
No. We have item 10.2 that has item OE6 and OE10 stricken from that. So we will be voting on operational expectation 8, asset protection will be the only item under there. And item 10.3, so with that, that's all under the board consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the board consent agenda.
I move to approve the board consent agenda items as stated.
I second.
Been moved by Mrs. Pugh, seconded by Mr. Hitchcock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, the one that we've been waiting for all night. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mrs. Poma, seconded by Mrs. Pugh. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.